Hello, this is Stacy Kinoshita today with Tiffany Jones. Coming up today with the topic trend or the business trend of quiet quitting. Now, Miss Tiffany, have you heard that topic before? Have you heard that phrase before?
Well, this is new. Something quiet quitting is a new phrase and a new term that I just heard as we start speaking, but I believe it's probably associated with the great resignation.
It's actually part of the continuation of the Great Resignation.
Right.
But we know that it all stems from the same, it's just I don't want to say a symptom of what's been happening in the workforce for a long time. So, what is your understanding of this whole thing of quiet quitting?
Well, I believe, or what I'm gathering, is that quiet quitting is people making a decision to stop working after the designated hours. So if your hours are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., the employer has your full attention or should have your full attention between those hours. At 6:01 p.m., there's no response to any texts or emails or anything that has to do with job related issues. Nothing. So what we're seeing, I believe, is it's kind of like we're going backwards to the days of the 9 to 5, and you quit at 5 o'clock and you go to your family and you spend time with your family, and then you don't resume work until 9 o'clock a.m. the next day. So which is very interesting though, because I think there needs to be a fine boundary set between the employer employee, because you're not getting paid for that time. If you go beyond 6, or you go beyond your designated time, you're not getting paid for that. So an employer could technically take advantage, and I think that's what the employee is sensing, that the employer is now taking advantage of their personal time and not really getting paid the amount of money, because some people don't get paid overtime. Some people.
Right, right. No, I get that. My understanding is that that's part of quiet quitting. And I may be wrong, but quiet quitting also extends to people who kind of have just checked out, even during 9 to 5, that they may not even be giving it their all or going the extra mile. They're just doing the bare minimum just to get paid. And they're okay with that because in their mind, they're already contemplating looking for another job or another opportunity. So the employer may not even be getting the quality of what they're paying the employee for because they've already checked out mentally or emotionally or for whatever reason. So I think it's a combination of all of those all of those things that encompass the term quiet quitting. So I know we're just barely touching the surface of this, but
I
go
think
ahead.
I think it's great. I really do, because what has happened was the start of COVID. People just totally went from working, 80 hours a week, to a day of like everything stopped, and then it stopped for an extended period. And in that extended period of time, people really evaluated their lives and what was important to them. So now you have people looking at their lives, looking at what they're passionate about, understanding, trying to figure out this dynamic. Should I go back to work? What does that mean to me if I go back to work? Well, I was working, a 40-hour a week uh, job that turned into a 60-hour a week job. You can add commuting in there, that adds to the whole total. And
Mhm.
then you come to the realization that it's not worth it. And I know from my own experience, when I stopped working for corporate America and began consulting, I had to think like that. I was spending time in traffic. It was an hour
Mhm.
to and from. I considered traffic time. I considered everything that my employer was expecting of me. And
Mhm.
did I take care of my responsibilities? Sure. But then the family life, your personal life, your family life, and the time that you spend away from them again is considered. And then you figure, you know what, family is more important to me. And in my decision to stop working for corporate America was that my family was more important to me than the amount of energy and effort that I was putting into someone else's dream and not
Okay, that's the key.
yes.
See, that's the key that people are not talking about, is
Right.
that either you are an employee
Yes.
or you are an employer, or you know, self-employed. You're an employer, you work someone, you either work for someone else or you work for yourself.
Right.
And I think what people don't understand is that there are pros and cons and gives and takes on both sides. So
Yes.
if you choose to not work for yourself, then you are going to be working for someone else and building someone else's dream. You are also subject to the expectations of that job description or that job demands, you know. So I know for some people, they're going to side with the employee. The employee's overworked, or over this, or over that. But I also look at it. Let me play the devil's advocate. So I have an employer that I work with, and it's a counseling. They do counseling, and when COVID hit, before COVID they had, I think, 6 or 7 clinics that clients or patients went to get counseling. And then when COVID hit, they moved to virtual. Well, all the therapists are now so comfortable doing Zoom type appointments, that the thought of going back to the office, a lot of them are anti going back to the office. So now the employer is stuck between thinking, well, do I cater to the needs of my employees and allow them to continue with Zoom, or do I bring back the quality of that one-on-one personable, personalized sessions with these clients, and have my therapist come back to the office? So it's easy from the point of view of the employee to say, oh no, I want to work at home, I don't want to commute and all that. But let's say that you are in need of therapy, and let's say it's not that, it's a different clinic, and you want to have a one-on-one session with a therapist.
Excuse
Are
me.
you are you the customer or the patient or the client? Are you okay if just doing it Zoom, just because the therapist don't want to come back to the office? Or would you go and find a therapist that
Excuse me. I'm gonna have to go get some water. Hold on.
okay, I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
Okay, so Miss Tiffany, so what are your thoughts on that?
I understand what you're saying. And I'm always on the side of the employee. And as I have been on most of the conversations we've had. And I will say this. People right now, after the pandemic, are rediscovering what means the most to them, what's
Right.
really important. And there's so much going on, and everybody at this time is reevaluating everything in their life, their relationships, their business relationships, how they want to move forward. And it's a perfect time actually to be doing so. But I think there's something to be said for boundaries and setting boundaries. If your time is from 9 to 5, 9 to 6, say you give it your all as an employee, but at 5:01 or 6:01, I don't think that the employer should expect that you are going to go above and beyond, because that above and beyond, and as if you're salaried, you're not getting
paid for that time.
paid.
No, I understand that.
So, and an employer could expect that and say, well, it's really good that you go above and beyond, because now you can be up for promotion. But see, here's what happens for the employee. The employee now is forced to make a decision on whether or not want to stay with the company. And of course, they have to ask for a promotion, because now you're setting these expectations that have to have a value or monetary value placed with the amount of work that you're doing and the amount of hours that you're putting into it. So you're salaried, you're now working a 40-hour a week originally, and it goes from 40 to 60, and now you have to make some considerations because, you know, your time is valuable. So now you have to be compensated for that. And just with all that, like I said, with all that is happening, it's a perfect time to reevaluate what you want to do. But we just have to, we all have to work together. I do believe, however, and this is my projection, personal projection, is that over the next 5 to 10 years, corporate America is not going to exist as it is today. So
Right.
we have to face what is happening now. We have a culture of people who are seeking freedom and independence. You see it in politics, you see it in business, you see it in the entertainment industry, you see it all over the world. As a matter of fact, you're seeing it with countries wanting their independence as the Queen has died, and now these countries that were part of Britain,
the United Kingdom, right?
Or the United Kingdom, are now seeking independence. So we're looking at independence as the focal point for what people want. They want the collaboration with the corporate America, but they still want to remain independent. And we see that with Lyft and Uber. The reason why you joined Lyft or Uber was because you wanted to maintain your independent contractor status with your own hours.
So this is what I just heard you say. People want independence, but I guess the question is, can you have the independence that you're seeking by being an employee? Or does that independence come from really being an employee? Crap, hold on. So, okay, so, you know, I really believe in independence, and that is one reason why I don't work for anyone. Because, you know, when you're working for someone else, they're paying you to do a job or to complete a task or whatever competency you offer to help that company build. And at some point, if you are not positioning yourself as an asset to help the company grow, then you become an expense. And I'm not talking about big corporate America. I'm talking pertaining to more small to mid-sized business owners who don't have the luxury of just having dead weight, hiring dead weight, where they're just sitting there doing nothing because they have limited budgets, they have limited talent as far as, you know, who the amount of employees, the number of employees that they're able to hire. And so when you work for a small business or when you work for a small to mid-sized business, either you have to position yourself to be an asset, or you really are going to be labeled a liability. And when you are a liability and the company starts struggling financially or has to make financial decisions to stay afloat or to get to the next level of their profit, then your position and your job is going to be considered the first check mark to check off, because they've got to cut back somewhere just to be able to survive, to be able to stay, keep the doors open. You understand that? So I know a lot of what our conversation about the quiet, what is it? The quiet
quitting.
Thank you. Quiet quitting is, you know, a lot of that goes on in big corporations, but I also see it in smaller corporations, these small businesses that struggle to find good talent, and then have people that is the human nature is human nature. And whether it's a big company or small company, dealing with employees, I find, is the same across the board. It's just that corporations have a bigger pool of it because they have more human, more people that they're dealing with in their human resource department. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think and I agree with you, people want quality people, but being an employee comes at a price. Just like borrowing money comes at a price. When you become the borrower, you're actually a slave to the lender. When you become an employee, I don't want to say you're enslaved to the employer, but there's some indebtedness or expectations that are due because they're paying you to do a job or to accomplish some goals for the company. And
Right.
and I think that's what people have to choose. If I want to be in this company, how do I position myself where I can still have some sense of balance, if that's even possible, and still have quality family life, but still fulfill my duties or my requirements as an employer and still bring the quality. I think that's where employees are failing. It's either like I think before the pandemic, people were just kind of shutting up and putting up or complaining. And now they almost have the attitude where, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I want to just check out and go find another. And they're leaving dead bodies behind, a trail of dead bodies, meaning broken relationships or connections that could help propel them to a better career or other opportunities, because they're so dissatisfied. And my question is can that be done in a more tactful way where you still can leverage those relationships to get to where you want to go or find the position?
Right. I believe so. And I had a conversation earlier with client of mine and who's struggling because he is in a job, a 9 to 5, but he's also very creative and very talented musically. So he's now struggling with, I've done all these things for my family. I now want to find out what my purpose and calling is. I know what I'm passionate about. And I just want to incorporate my passion, purpose together and doing something that I love. And my response to that was, if you're going to have this 9 to 5, right? Set a goal with how long you're going to have it and what purpose it is for. Like, why do you have this job? And then set a goal towards completing, what it is that you came to do to have the job. And I said, what you should do is then after you figure out, the goal of how long you're going to stay there, then focus on your dreams and your passions. Because the reality is that if you do not find the happy place with an employer or an employee, the productivity is going to suffer no matter what.
Right.
So you need to find the balance between what is going to make the employee happy as well as the employer. And I said, you can do both. You know where the goal is, you what the end game to your goal is, and then you concentrate on your passion too as well. But as long as you have a goal in mind, it's easier to deal with the 9 to 5 and then also pursue your passion. Your passion is what's going to make you the money. When you're happy, everything follows. When you're not happy, it is not happening. It's not going to happen for the employee. It's not going to happen for the employer. The production is going to go down. So we need to find out how to make each other happy. Like, what's the balance? And I think that's what we're trying to do right now, is to create that. And no one's figured it out yet, but we're in the trenches right now, I believe, of trying to figure out that happy place for both.
And I understand that. And a lot of times I hear people say, I'm going to start a job because I am passionate. I don't know if it was Warren Buffett or someone that said that if you want to make money, solve a problem. If you and whatever you're passionate about, do it as a hobby. Now, can you turn it into a business? Yes, but here's the challenge. You've got this gap. You've got the employee mindset, and then you've got the entrepreneur, and you've got people who are trying to bridge between being an employee and the entrepreneur. And a lot of them, have you ever read the book, The E-Myth? The E-Myth Revisited? It's by Michael Gerber, and he talks about the different stages of business, and he talks about the different roles, like the technician. These are people that maybe they worked for a bakery and they became good and they love baking, and so they work for an employer for a while, then they turn around and they open up their own bakery. And so now they become the technician in their bakery. They're doing all the baking, but there are other hats that need to be worn, like who's going to pay the bills, who's going to manage the other, who's going to hire, who's going to, so he talks about the different types of roles that in the beginning stages of a business that the business owner has to play, and the balance, that the juggling and the balancing that the business owner has to do to be able to, and then to replace themselves. They can't always play every single role. They can't be the hiring and the cook and the chef and the floor cleaners and the mop, all of that. And so I think that's where the balance is. That's where the challenge is of becoming an entrepreneur. But where I was going with this is this. you
Because
know,
because Albert Einstein says creativity solves problems. If you cannot be creative where you are or cannot feel the creativity where you are, how can you solve a problem? How can you contribute to a company if you're not in the position or don't feel happy about solving a problem?
but and then whose role, whose responsibility is that to fit to develop that mindset? Is it the employee or is it the employer? That to If you've got to feel creative or that you can bring creativity to a job to feel satisfied that you're bringing, that in your job, whose
Right.
role is that to
It's you to figure out. Okay, yes, creativity is the actually solves problems. Your ability to be creative to come up with solutions to solve problems, right?
right.
Um, if you and ultimately it's all, I think it stems from happiness and how happy you are with where you are. And if you're not happy, no one's going to be happy. No one's going to be happy at home. No one's going to be happy at the job. No one's going to, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to reach those levels that you want to reach without true happiness. Now, you ask if it's the employer's responsibility or the employee's responsibility. I believe personally it's the employee's responsibility. Why? Because everyone needs to look at themselves and as an individual control what they can control.
Amen.
You cannot realistically expect somebody else to do something for you that you should
For
be.
you, exactly. But let's go back to people who want to become financially independent and whatnot. And I mean, very few people actually become financially independent doing something that they're passionate about. Let me give you an example. McDonald's the average McDonald's owner doesn't have a license as a chef. They're not passionate about hamburgers. They're not back there cooking the fries, but they understand that it's a business that solves a problem. It brings food inexpensively, quickly, and a lot of them, will make what the average McDonald's makes about 1.3 million annually. So, but then that person, once they build up that wealth, if they want to go and do something with they're passionate about, they can do that. They can start charities. They can start a band. I guess what I'm saying is being self-employed or becoming an entrepreneur and having the ability to create wealth then affords you that time to be able to do something that you're passionate about and not have to worry about what is it going to pay my bills, because I see a lot of musicians.
Yeah. But wealth comes from your happiness. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter. As long as your happiness, you can create whatever you want. You can create the money you want. You can create anything that you want, as long as you're happy. So where is that happy place? In-N-Out figured it out. You know why? Because most of the people that are in either In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, they love that. They love working there. Why? Because guess what? On a Sunday, they know they're not going to be working on a Sunday regardless, because it's a company policy. Like nobody works on Sunday.
Right, because Chick-fil-A actually hires based on their values. And so people who work or pay money for that franchise are in there because they are aligned with the values of the corporation. But I do know this. I have met people who are wealthy and they started a business that they were happy because they felt they were bringing value and they felt that they were being paid the value that they brought to their customers or their clients. But let's say that they love music, they're passionate about music. For example, one of my mentors, his name is Chris Payne. He's actually studied music, was passionate about music, traveled around the country, around, not just the country, the world, with his band because he was passionate about music. But he found that it was very difficult to make a living with in music. And so he was introduced to the financial services. And at first he loved the education, so he became a client. And then he saw the value that it brought to his family, to other people. He now has a very successful office in Fullerton, and his income is well over what he could have dreamed that he would make. And so he knows that this is what he said: I'm willing to do what most people aren't willing to do so that I can have the life that most people won't have. And I think that that's where people have to decide, like, what price are you willing to pay for the life that you want? If you're, and there's no value or judgment in that. If
No,
you want a comfortable life where you have a 9 to 5 and you get off and you have time with your family and the weekends and all that, then that's fine. And I think that there's value in that. However, just know that when you are an employee, somebody controls, has a lot of control over how much money you make, whether you have a job or not, where your kids go to school, where you know,
and
just they just
and I totally believe, you know, I get what you're saying and I'm in agreement. But I also have to say this, when you understand what it is that you want, like I think I've met Chris, and Chris is a wonderful person. Chris, but he understands that he used his creativity to figure out what he wanted to do in his life. I think it starts with people really understanding what they want. Now, you can work a 9 to 5
that's true.
job and have multiple streams of income, or you can be, man, I'll tell you what, there's an heir that I know to a huge corporation, and he travels around the world. Why? Because he has multiple revenues of income.
Right.
So it
That's my
doesn't
point.
matter. So in some cases, it does matter because you have to look at, can I do music and still survive? It depends on how you create the solution, which is income revenues of income.
Right.
How many can I have to support? That's what it comes down to, not the job, not where you go, not what you do. Can I support myself based on income revenue? And if you haven't done that and haven't gotten solid avenues, then of course it's going to be a struggle. But can you find that? Can you find that on your one job? Can you totally support your family, and can you leave a legacy with your family on one job and create generational wealth? You can't do it. I don't care what
That's the point. That's the whole, that's what I was leading to. That if you think that a job is your salvation and you're all in all to get you where you want to go and to give your family the security that they want, you are delusional. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to have multiple streams of income. And part of that is getting out of your comfort zone as just being an employee and exploring other areas, other ways to bring in another stream of income. And I think and that's what I was alluding to, is like, it's okay if you're dissatisfied with just being an employee and having someone control, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have everything under your control being an employee and then think that the employer is going to just cater to everything. And I understand balance. I understand you're not getting paid. I understand that. But at some point, but just know that being an employee, you give up some control because you are being paid by someone, and that that you need to open up and expand your mindset to look at other ways to achieve the goal. Like you say, find out what you really want from life and ask yourself, is this job or is any job going to get me where I want to go? And and yes, you may have to work at that job for a while, but just know that there are other opportunities out there that will get you to where you want to go, and be willing and open to explore those opportunities.
Right. And again, here's what I say too. Going and having a job, coming out of college, understanding that, do that. Spend 10 years, 15 years at a job, but have a goal in mind, an end game, because after 15 years, you may not even want to pursue a career. For me, I advise people after 10 to 15 years, learn what you need to learn, because corporate America or any company is going to teach you the basics in which to do your own. Now, once you've gotten that, then go out and establish your own, because that's really going to make you happy. But here's the thing. There is a like gap, or let's say when you go into business, there's not like people telling you once you come out of corporate America how to really do this successfully. Because then you go through it, you get your business license, you get your LLC set up, you get your business account, you do the very basics, but then no one, if you're smart, you should sit down with somebody who's going to give you the whole entire picture. But
find a mentor. Yes.
Find a mentor.
Get a mentor.
But most people don't do that because they're so excited and living in the moment to be their own boss that they're like, oh, but wait, there's other factors to this. And I do believe if there's enough people out there that would educate the masses, okay, educate, yes, this is a great thing to do. Be in corporate America, establish yourself, or know the ins and outs of a company so that you can establish your own, but also understand the whole vision and have a mentor and have somebody that can walk you through that and can journey with you.
I agree. You know what? I agree. I mean, you know, the statistics. 95% of businesses that start this year will be out of business in 1 year or 5 years from now. So, and a lot of them, they struggle in areas because they're trying to figure it out on their own. They don't have a mentor. They don't have somebody that's done the walk, and they can actually guide them through the steps and know what the pitfalls are. Because you're right, they are super excited about starting a business, and so they just go for it. Or they go in and start a business, a food truck or a business, and they don't really know what they're getting into. They don't know where the quicksand is and where the pitfalls are. And so again, a lot of people I hear so many people, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to make some jewelry, I'm going to do this. And they don't have a business plan. They don't understand their market. There's a lot that goes into starting a business and being successful as a business owner. Mm-hmm. And most of us will start that entrepreneur journey just like with a whole bunch of hope and dreams and vision. And then, and some people will start it and they'll give up before they even begin. A year or two, they're like, oh, I don't have any sales, so I'm done. Entrepreneurship, what I love, I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship, and why I love entrepreneurship is because you want to know what you're made of. You want to know the substance that who you are or who you can become and your full potential. Start the journey of entrepreneurship, because you will know if you are a pansy. You will sense it. Can you change? Can you develop? And can you grow? Yes, but you will definitely learn about who you are. But it also gives you an opportunity to grow, to make the decision to grow. And that's why I love entrepreneurship, even on smaller scales, because the statistics show that we are the happiest when we feel we are growing. And when you're stuck at a job and you're doing the same old, or you're stuck in any area of your life where you don't feel that you're growing, that's where people become dissatisfied and unhappy. And entrepreneurship is definitely a way to get you stuck out of that mundane day-to-day crap that goes through corporate America, and then to help you to feel happy because you're growing and developing and becoming that person that you believe that God or the universe or whoever wants you to become. So,
but I really think that it starts with people. I think if you don't have that, I think everyone, if you're looking into being an entrepreneur, I strongly suggest it myself. But I also suggest that you collaborate with people that
Absolutely.
have been in business, that know some things that you don't. And
of course,
always put yourself in a situation or in a group where there are multiple people who can bring something to the table. And
I agree.
And there are people out there, and it's a give and take. You can go to somebody and they charge you so much money and you get no results. But sit with yourself, find what you want to do, what it means to you, and then start finding people, or the people will come eventually to you that are part of your quote unquote business soul tribe and help you do what it is that you want to do. But I think those people who are sincerely out there doing it, like yourself, who sincerely want to help people. See, it's about being of service to people. People think that the value of business, of anything, is about profit. It is not. It is about,
no, it's not.
First, service and serving your brother, your sister. And when I say that, I'm talking about humanity.
Oh, I know that.
Service that way. And when you connect with people like yourself, and other individuals who are not in it for the profit. The profit will come because it's definite. It's a definite that the profit, the money is going to be there. But for somebody to care enough about you to see you to grow is very,
Absolutely.
very important. And we talk about entrepreneurship, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. You mentor people in business, and you have a way of bringing that service aspect to every one of your clients.
Oh,
And
thank
so,
you. You do too. So thank you.
thank you. And so I just think that, here's what I would say in conclusion to this conversation is that know what you want to do and then connect with those people who are really into helping you. Now, I'm not talking about helping you with no money, because every time someone says help, it's always free. But I will say that people who are service oriented, who are going to journey with you, who already understand that, yes, there's some pitfalls. And if I had somebody with me to share those moments with, I would be further along. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But to align yourself with people like yourself and people that, are in your line of business, it's important. And I think as we start to figure this out, as we're feeling our way from the pandemic into what it is that everybody wants to do or is going to make them happy, I truly believe that people, again, need to align with people who are going to be of service to you. It's not about the money, it's about your growth.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I
And
am and
I want to add to
supporting
that
you.
too. I heard someone say something that was, I thought, what, I agree with that. You know how people will pay for a mentor, but the best mentor that you can bring into your life is someone that has a vested interest in your success, meaning that they are going to pour into you because they know that by building you up, they're also going to build their organization up. So there's a vested interest. I see people that will pay for mentorship or whatnot, but again, that's a based on an exchange of money, but that necessarily you're talking about, like, people who are promised results, but if they have a vested interest in you, they're going to pour everything they can to help you succeed because they know by helping you succeed, they will also succeed. So anyway, so I think we unpacked this topic, so I'm sure there's a little bit more we can squeeze in there. So, but we will continue on the next topic
Yes, we
in
will.
our
I'm
next
so looking
conversation.
forward.
Likewise. Thank you, Miss Tiffany, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.